What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here. Back again with another video. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. This is a this is a polarizing subject. It's for many reasons. You know, I before I even start, I'm in the middle on this. I'm in the middle, completely in the middle. I don't subscribe to any side, any party, politically, whatever. Like, I'm completely in the middle, and I'm common sense on this. I'm of the common sense party. I just wanted to state that before I get started. So the NFL Combine is coming up, as we know. So just, the other day there was 155 players and their agents who, I guess somebody put out a statement saying that they were going to potentially boycott the Combine, the NFL Combine. And when I first seen the news, I didn't know what it was, what it was about or whatever. But I did a little research on it. The NFL was going to make the NFL Combine a bubble environment. Just how the NBA was in the bubble a couple years ago. There was a couple others. I think the MLB playoffs was a bubble environment as well too. But this stuff we're talking about is 2 years ago. This is 2020 that we're talking about. So the NFL wanted to make a bubble environment for the NFL Combine. I don't know why either. There was Pro Football Talks put out a tweet a couple weeks ago, and I think it was right before the Super Bowl, and it encompassed the NFL's response to COVID and everything that they did, and it came along with the numbers as well too. So there were over 7,000 employees, NFL employees. So this is counting players, this is counting coaches, front office staffs, training staffs, people that work at the team's facilities, practice facilities. 7,000 total employees. There was one hospitalization, and I believe it was a player from the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if they released his name or not. Maybe they did. I'm not sure. But from what I've heard, that guy had some type of medical issue, like pre-existing, and the hospital stay was just for observation purposes. He wasn't like super sick or anything. He just wanted to make sure he was okay. So the NFL had one hospitalization out of 7,000. 7,000 people. And this is over an expanded period of time, right? We're talking about from when the season starts all the way until the season ends. Now the season starts, with everything going on. You have your and I think they did a lot. There were some teams who did some in-person work in OTAs. I think a lot of teams still did some virtual work. So I won't even count that, but I'm going to count from the beginning of training camp. So for most teams, that's normally towards the end of July, usually beginning of August. So we'll say the ending of July all the way till the season's over, which was last week. February 13th was the Super Bowl when it got completed. But you take away the playoffs. Every team is not playing in the playoffs, so you go all the way up until week 18, right? And I believe that is the first week of January. I think it was the first week of January. So one hospitalization with over 7,000 employees. Now I'm not an anti-vax person by any stretch, but I believe that people should make the best decisions for themselves. But the fact that the NFL wanted to make a bubble environment, after knowing this, after having just this fresh data, this data is fresh. This is from this season. It's not outdated. The everybody talking about the variants and all that stuff. This is data from when the variant was present, when everybody was talking about it, when the cases were up. This is all data from there, like from this season. We got it right here. So what is the NFL doing making this a bubble environment? It doesn't make any sense at all. So once I, found out this information, I supported this protest because what else are you doing this for? And it's clear, I know what the NFL is doing this for. The NFL is doing this to gain brownie points with, certain, news organizations or certain just certain segments of the population who are still super COVID just COVID crazy still. Like that's clearly what the NFL was doing this for, because there's no way that this shit even came up after having all this data. The NFL has this data. They know what's going on. They know what's going on with their players. They know that whether or not they intended to, they did a really good job with this COVID thing this year. They put the protocols in place, and they dealt with it from both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated standpoints. The NFL did a good job, and like I said, I don't want to give them too much credit because I don't know if it was intentional, but they did put stuff in place. So, you got to give credit where credit is due, and no matter what you say about the NFL and this and that and such, they did a good job with this COVID thing, and that's without any mandates, without them requiring any players to, specifically you need to get vaccinated or else you're not able to do this and that. No, it wasn't any of that. The players, were completely at liberty to get vaccinated if they wanted to or not. But that's really not even, that's not even in consideration for what the NFL was doing. I just look at it like, okay, let's just assume everybody was unvaccinated. This still would have been the outcome because the NFL did a good job. They had to wear the contact tracing bracelets. They did a lot of testing. And they kept the players healthy. And they encouraged the players to, stay out of areas that you don't need to be in. Right? Don't go and go into a nightclub and walk into the middle of the nightclub, where nobody is, nobody knows what their COVID status is, whatever this and that. Just don't do it. And they continually push that on their players. And most of the players listened. Most of the players, they took heed. They didn't want to miss any time, or they didn't want to have their teams, have any outbreaks, whatever. And they did a good job. They did a good job, and they managed it well. So why would the NFL make this bubble environment? Like, this is the answer that I don't know. And I know this potential boycott, it did work. The NFL did not. They removed that right away. They removed the bubble environment right away. And because they did that, because they removed it right away, that lets you know that the NFL was doing this for another reason than keeping the players, quote unquote, safe. Because if you can, the combine usually lasts for 4 days, I believe. It's normally 4 days. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but it's normally 4 days. You have different groups, different position groups working out that day, running 40s, doing the bench press, on field work, whatever. I think it normally lasts over 4 days, maybe 5 days now because it's a TV event for the NFL, so possibly 5 days. Let's say 5 days at the most. So if the NFL is able to keep their players safe and healthy over the course of 6 months, you're telling me that the NFL cannot keep these future NFL players safe and healthy over the course of 5 days? Come on now, guys. Like, and not only that, no player is going to get into the combine. No player is going to enter the combine without being tested for COVID. So and I'm sure they're going to do testing every day. So I really don't understand what the issue is here, and I don't understand why there needs to be a bubble environment. I don't understand that. Like, this thing, people are going to have to realize that we're going to have to get back to real life here pretty soon, right? And we're going to have to get back to real life 100% pretty soon. I know that there's a lot of people who are, just so COVID crazy, and it's COVID this and it's COVID that and all of this stuff. This is coming to an end, and this is not going to last forever. So people, you're going to have to go back out. You're going to have to get your butt up and go back to work. You're going to have to, continue life just like you did before COVID was here. Like, you're going to have to continue that pretty soon if you haven't already started it yet, which most people should have. But this is not going to be a crutch that can be relied on for the rest of your life. COVID is not going to be an excuse anymore. As we see and this is all science that here, the modern science is coming out the science, the new science with new data that's coming out, all these new variants that are coming out are seem to be a little less um, impactful than their previous ones. And science is telling us this because hospitalization rates are down, deaths are down, all of this stuff is down. So this is science that's telling us this. We cannot continue acting like we were in 2020 when nobody knew what the coronavirus was and what the effects were and such. We're gonna have to get back to regular life. And like I said, you already should have started, but if you haven't, you're gonna have to, get in that mindset that you're gonna have to get back to your normal life here pretty soon, whether you like it or not. Because this COVID thing is not gonna last forever, and so many people are using this as a crutch. The NFL is using this as a crutch. I don't know to gain points with who. After they just had a successful, very very successful season. If you before the season started, if you listen to all the experts, Fauci and all these other people, it was so doom and gloom. And how can the NFL be having fans at the game? And how can they be having players? And how can they be playing all these games? And how the season went off without a hitch. And they said it wasn't gonna, they said that this wasn't possible. It's possible. And the NFL showed everybody. And just like I said, whether they intended to or not, they did a good job on this. So this goes to show that, hey, we can start getting back to some of this regular stuff. And, the NFL, they really need to stand up. They need to have the balls. They are the biggest sports organization in America. They have the most power. 115 million people tuned in to watch the Super Bowl. COVID wasn't mentioned not one time. Nobody cared about masks or whatever. People tuned in to watch the game. People tuned in to watch football. The NFL has this power. The NFL has to stand up and say, okay, we're getting back to normal now, right? We're still going to be safe. We're going to be responsible. But we are going to get back to normal. And if we have to lead the charge to getting back to normal, then we'll do that because they did it. They did it. And nobody can take that away from them. Nobody can say that oh, they were irresponsible, whatever. They did it. One hospitalization, one night, over a 6-month period. Over 7,000 employees. And it's not just players either. Matter of fact, the majority of them are not players. There's only a 53-man roster. There's 30 teams. That's what are we looking at? I'm just doing the math on my head. 1,700, 1,800 players. So the other 5,000 plus employees were not players. They're regular people just like you and me. They're not super in shape. They're not, really, super athletes. And there's not a whole lot of that sitting up there in the booth. There's not a whole lot of that, of non-players who are like super athletic or super in good shape. They're just regular people. So we can do this. And the NFL showed us. But, if people don't want to believe it, the NFL is probably going to show us again next season. So, hey, it is what it is, but I'm glad the boycott worked. I'm glad the combine is going to go on normally as scheduled without a bubble environment, without restricting these athletes, without restricting their training staffs and their medical people that they bring with them. I'm glad it's going to go off without a hitch because it really deserves to. After the successful season that the NFL had, battling COVID, I would say that the combine deserves to, be conducted as normal. And, I expect similar results in the combine because the NFL has shown that they are competent with dealing with this. And, there's no reason for a bubble anymore. So it is, like I said, it is what it is. Hopefully the COVID crazy people are not, freaking out because I'm telling everybody to get back to normal life. But, we're going to have to at some point. So that's all I got for this one. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers so I can get monetized pretty soon. So I need all the help I can get. So I just want to thank you guys for the support and see you later.